Hi, everyone. A very warm welcome to this Saturday afternoon. We absolutely are delighted to have you in the new year. And we have many parents, many students joining in new for the new year. We welcome them all and wish you all a very happy new year. We hope that we are all excited and full of new energy. And we hope that all of you who have joined in or will be listening later, that you have that same energy and spread the word, and we will make Let Us Talk It the best platform possible. It has been the first one, as far as I know, and we'll make it really reach the top. So, with that, we begin our first youth webinar of this year. And what better than a topic which first part was done in the end of December webinar. And we do these webinars every week. The youth webinar, Let Us Talk It youth webinar, happens every Saturday. The live one happens every Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. EST. And we have another group of younger kids from 6 to 11 years old who does it on alternate Fridays. And if you want to be part of any of this group, if your kids are interested, they want to learn public speaking, and you want to make them, outspoken, please do email us with your child's information, with your information, and the email to reach out is webinar@letustalkit.com. Having said that, we also want to just let you know that we do our professional webinars every week, and it is about work and life. And if you want to participate or want to become one of the speakers, then please do email us at the same email ID that I said just now. And one thing that we have all noticed, and today's topic about global personalities becomes so important, that any global personality or person that stands apart has always had a very essential role in the communication part, the communication skills. So they have to master that. They all mastered that art of expressing their thoughts, their feelings in a very proper way that affected us, or that in a good way, of course, and that has made a mark in others' life. So communication, that's all what Let Us Talk It is about. So let's communicate, let's make an empowered and enhanced community. So with that thought in mind, and hoping that you will all get involved and make it a huge successful community, we hope that this thing continues forever. And with that, we welcome our panelists today, and they will be introducing themselves, and we are extremely excited to have you all. And over to you, Medha. Let's begin today's session.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. So when we think of someone who truly inspires us, not only in the way that they handle their career and the impact they make in their respective fields, but in the way they approach life and handle the smallest of obstacles, who do we think of? For each of us, different figures come to mind, each of them uniquely inspirational, formidable, and powerful in their own ways. So today, we'll be speaking to you about global personalities who we connect with and what we can all take from their lives to inculcate into our own. And from here, I'll be passing it over to Arvel, who will be telling us about our table of contents for today.
Thank you, Medha. First, we will meet our panelists for today. Next, we'll see all our global personalities. Chadwick Boseman, Mary Curie, Swami Vivekananda, Kamala Bhasin, Jeff Bezos, Rabindranath Tagore, and Sarojini Naidu. Last, we'll have an interaction/Q&A session.
Hi everyone, my name is Arjit Kumar Naru. I'm a 7th grader at Kamala Middle School. A few of the things I like doing are playing the drums, singing, and reading books.
Hi, my name is Mahadi and I'm a 7th grader in Michigan. Some things I like to do are painting, reading, and writing.
Hi, I'm Morel. I'm a 6th grader in Michigan, and something I like to do are reading and painting.
Hi everyone, my name is Mukta Periala. I'm a junior at Rochester High School in Michigan. Some of my hobbies include dancing and spreading awareness on global issues.
Hello everyone, my name is Sanjeev Netaji and I'm in 8th grade from Bowling Park Middle School. Some things I like to do is play basketball and cricket.
Hi, my name is Hanisha Dunduri. I live in Scotland and I'm an S5, meaning 10th grade in America. In my free time, I like to paint, read books, and play hockey.
Hi everyone, I'm Maida. I'm a junior at Thomas Jefferson High School in Virginia. And some of my hobbies include reading, writing, and dancing.
Our first global personality of the day is Chadwick Boseman, who will be presented by AJ.
Chadwick Boseman's life started on November 29, 1976. He was a very bright student and graduated from T.L. Hanna High School in 1995. He was a star celebrity who dedicated all his movies to represent the Black society and worked on Black celebrity biopics. However, he died due to colon cancer on 8/28/2020. Some of his achievements and top hits are God of Egypt, The Kill Hole, Draft Days, A Message from the King, The Express, The Iron, Davis Stories, 21 Bridges, Avengers Endgame, Captain America Civil War, and his most famous, Black Panther. And he's said to be the first ever Black superhero ever filmed. He's my inspiration because Chadwick Boseman was actually a big inspiration to many other. And even though he was notified that he was diagnosed with colon cancer while he was filming one of his movies, Captain America Civil War, he was so dedicated to the movie that he did not take treatment until after the movie. He's also helping people diagnosed with cancer and any type of cancer. He's my inspiration, especially because he's so helpful to people, even in times where he's very weak, and he gives courage to people that are in need of it, while even he himself is in a position where he is very weak. He once said, "In times of crisis, the wise build. In the times of crisis, the wise build bridges, while the foolish build berries." Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. It's sad that he died of colon cancer. Black Panther is one of my favorite movies. Next, we have Mary Curie, presented by Mahadi.
Everybody knows and should know Marie Curie. She was one of the most impactful female scientists in history, but her gender is what baffled people back then. When a woman has scholarly inclinations, there is usually something wrong with her. This was a quote said by Friedrich Nietzsche. And back then it was very sexist and not many people thought that women could make it far in academics. Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. Using this quote, she made many discoveries and made our lives now much easier. And this is one of the reasons why Marie Curie is such an icon. For some background information, Marie Sklodowska-Curie, born as Maria Salomia Sklodowska, was a chemist that is famous for discovering radium and polonium. She was born November 7, 1867. Marie was a very modest school teacher, but she had dreams to pursue her scientific career. So she struck a deal with her sister Branya by agreeing to fund her medical degree in France by working as a governess, which was a personal tutor. Branya then helped her move to Paris, where Curie attended Sorbonne, or also known as the University of Paris, and studied physics, chemistry, and math. That was where Pierre and Marie met. Pierre was a professor at the university, and they both got married in 1895 in France. Some famous accomplishments include the two Nobel Prizes that she and her husband have won. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, the first and only woman to win the prize twice, and the only person to win prizes in two different fields. The Curies had their first child in 1897, Irene Curie. They lived a modest life, with Pierre earning about 6,000 francs a year, which would be $30,000 today, while Marie was studying for an exam that certified her to teach. After a grueling pregnancy, Curie had to prepare for a doctoral thesis, and this caused her not to spend time with Irene. But thankfully, her father-in-law, who was retired at the time, stepped in for Marie, and when Marie went back to the lab, many of her colleagues were shocked. They all had the same traditional thoughts, which was the idea of the mother spending time with her child before working. By the time that her second daughter, Eve, was born, she was used to her colleagues' criticism. Finally, George Sagnac, a friend, confronted her about it. "Don't you love Irene?" he asked. "It seems to me that I wouldn't prefer the idea of reading a paper by Rutherford than getting what my body needs and looking after such an agreeable little girl." But she kept on reading and building up on the study of X-rays. She made a daring hypothesis that a senior chemist saw as an amazingly bold statement that was proven right. Curie then measured the intensity of the rays with an electrometer made by Pierre Curie and his brother. It was very puzzling because the amount of radium was greater than the radiation emitted in uranium or thorium. With more time spent in the lab, in 1898 she found a new element, polonium. This shows that even from the doubt of her colleagues and friends didn't stop her from discovering many things. She was also working in a shed with broken windows and poor ventilation. It was remarkable that she managed to calculate the properties of radium in such deplorable conditions. But it was thanks to her patience and tenacity. In 1903, Curie was the first woman to get a PhD in physics. Professors who looked at her doctoral thesis declared it as the greatest single contribution to science ever written. Both Curies shared the Nobel Prize in Physics with Antoine Henry Becquerel in 1903. Many people didn't want Marie to win the prize solo, so they gave it to Pierre too. And it was the first Nobel to be awarded to a woman. At the award ceremony, the president of the Swedish Academy, which administered the prize, quoted the Bible in his remarks about the Curie's research. "It is not good that a man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him." A helpmeet means a companion or a partner, and we still don't know if Marie took that as an insult or not. After Pierre died in 1906 from a vehicular accident, she took on the job at Sorbonne. She had her first lecture and hundreds of people joined. There was a period of time where her reputation was tarnished, but this was soon overthrown by another piece. Marie Curie got a second Nobel Prize. She had many accomplishments and went all over the world with her daughters, but sadly in 1934 she died from exposure to radium. The reason that I picked her was because despite what other people thought of a woman in science back then, she still continued her work and made discoveries. I am inspired by her mainly because there were many comments and instances where the people held her back because of her gender, but she had used patience and was unconcerned. And that's how she became one of the most influential scientists.
Thank you, Mahati. That was a great global personality. It's great that she won 2 Nobel Prizes and discovered polonium. Next up, our next global personality is Swami Vivekananda, presented by me. Who was Swami Vivekananda? Swami Vivekananda was a monk that spread the Indian philosophies of Vedanta and yoga throughout the world. Born on January 12, 1863, as Narendra Nath Datta, Swami Vivekananda died on July 4, 1902, while meditating at the age of 39. He had inspired millions of people all over the world. Next, we have his studies. Vivekananda studied under the Guru Ramakrishna once he finished college. Once Ramakrishna died, Swami founded Ramakrishna Math and the Ramakrishna Mission. He became a wandering monk and went around India for 5 years before taking on the name Vivekananda. While traveling, then we have what did he do? While traveling, he saw the suffering and poverty people had to go through in different parts of India. He resolved to help them, so on On June 31st, 1893, he reached Chicago, where in a few weeks he gave his famous speech which starts Sisters and Brothers of America, in which he introduced Hinduism at the Parliament of the World's Religions in Chicago. People had never heard about Vedanta, yoga, or Hinduism and were blown away. From then, Vivekananda's popularity increased and he went around the globe spreading his message. And lastly, we have his message. Vivekananda was a big believer in Vedanta, yoga, and meditating. He wanted to set in motion a machinery which will bring noblest ideas to the doorstep of even the poorest and meanest. One of my favorite quotes from Vivekananda was, "Who is helping you, don't forget them. Who is loving you, don't hate them. And who is believing you, don't cheat them." This is a quote by him, and he inspired me because he believed in helping the people that need it, which is something that I want to do. He also had many, many amazing teachings and ideas, which is one of the reasons why I chose him, why he inspires me. Okay, next we have Kamlam Pasin, which will be presented by Mukta.
Feminism for me has never been anti-men. It has always been anti-patriarchy. This is one of Kamala Basin's famous quotes, and it's a quote that started her career. Who is Kamala Basin? She is one of the most exceptional Indian feminists, and she is known for her many works of writing about activism and feminism. So let's start with some background information. Kamala was born in India on April 24th, 1946. She studied at the University of Munster and the University of Rajasthan. As I've said before, she is a women's activist, poet, and author. Her works of art focus on gender equality, education, and the media. One of her achievements includes co-founding Sangat, a South Asian network of gender activists and trainers. On top of that, she has written a best-selling book in India, Borders and Boundaries. Now that we know a little bit about her, let's talk about how she got to the position she's in now. In an interview, she explains how it was almost accidental for her to become the feminist that she is. Kamala Basin grew up in a small town in rural Rajasthan and studied at government schools. She worked for Seva Mandir in Udaipur as a development worker and activist for 4 years. Then the United Nations invited her to work with them. Her first concerns were poverty and illiteracy. She later worked for many years on water development. Then she got into the Mathura rape case. That case inspired me to get into how easy it is for an Indian woman to not be trusted in a system like that. I realized that if we want to work on the issues of class and gender, then the written word is not good enough. We have to teach our kids the same. That's why my focus has always been on engagement through Q&A booklets, songs, and visual materials. When my children were born, I started writing songs for them, and they were naturally feminist rhymes, which got published by UNICEF. As I was reading the interview and watching the TED Talks, I could tell the real fiery passion Kamala had that drove her activism, which leads me to my next point. How did she inspire me? Kamala has inspired me to be creative with how I speak about the issues I stand for. After reading a few of her poems, they opened up a new perspective on how beautiful and impactful a piece of writing can be. Finally, why did I pick Kamala? I am someone who likes to spread awareness about issues that I believe in. Feminism has always been a very important topic for me to talk about and have a passion for. Now, there are many feminists in the world. You have Eleanor Roosevelt and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but what made Kamala different for me was she educated children about the ideas of patriarchy through her works. I think that is something very significant because teaching the younger generations is what we can do to push for equality for females and males. Not only that, but being a young Indian woman and breaking all stereotypes in a patriarchal society in India at the time was very inspirational.
Thank you, Mukta. Kamala Basin is truly an amazing woman. Next, we have Sanjeev presenting Jeff Bezos.
Thank you, Arul. The quote, "Work hard, have fun, make history," said by Jeff Bezos, has really inspired me to work hard and never quit. Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about Jeff Bezos and his history and how he inspired me. Jeff Bezos was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico on January 12, 1964. He completed university at Princeton University. He founded e-commerce colossus Amazon in 1994 out of his garage in Seattle. He turns it as CEO and owns an 11.1% stake. Between March and April 2020, amid the pandemic, Amazon said hired 1,075 million additional workers. His network is twice as much as Bill Gates, which makes him the richest person in the world. Jeff Bezos first became a millionaire in 1997 after raising $54 million through Amazon initial public offering. He was first included on the Forbes World Billionaires list in 1999 with registered net worth of $10.1 billion. With his wealth rose by 85.2% in 2010, leaving him with $12.6 billion. CEO and chairman of Amazon, Jeff Bezos talks about finding your passion to have a calling you will never work day in your life. Have meaning in your lives. Take things one step at a time and progress each day to see the results. Fall down and get back up. Face adversity head on and proud of the hard work you have achieved. Make the choice to work tough to get where you want to go. Minimize the number of regrets you have and find your path to your own satisfaction. Before starting Amazon, Bezos was working at a quantitative hedge fund. He left the comfort of high-paying job to start a small online company, originally selling books out of his garage. He chose the whisper of dream over the life he was content with. He chose great over the good. After researching about Jeff Bezos, I understood that I should never let go of my dreams. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev. That was a really great presentation, and Jeff Bezos is one of the most important people in this world. Me and my family and I usually order stuff from Amazon all the time, especially in this lockdown. Next, we have Hanisha presenting Rabindranath Tagore.
So Rabindranath Tagore, also known as Gurudev, was a gifted poet, in addition to being a philosopher, writer, painter, and educator. He was most well known for being the first non-European winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913 for his English translated version of his collection of poems Gitanjali, which was modelled on the Indian devotional lyrics and contains the famous poem Where the Mind Is Without Fear. He was born on the 7th of May, 1861 to a prominent family who were at the forefront of the Bengal Renaissance, which was a cultural movement in the Bengal region. He opposed the British rule and had an influence on the Indian nationalist movement, but later decided that he preferred cooperation and tolerance between the Western and Eastern worlds, hence his philosophical essay, Nationalism, where he critiques nationalism and its violence. Tagore was awarded a knighthood in 1915, and later he renounced the title as a protest against British policies in India, especially after the 1919 Jallianwala Bagh massacre, which I admire because he stood up for something he didn't agree with. He helped develop Indian philosophy. His philosophical works are religious and ethical, and touch on his sympathy for the lives of women and the poor people of Bengali. He once said, "You cannot cross the water merely by standing and staring at the sea." I am quite a bad procrastinator when it comes to big projects, and I can't find the motivation to even start them. So I like this quote because it just tells me that I have to actually start and do the work to get it done. I particularly like Tagore for his paintings. Tagore did not name his paintings, but by leaving them untitled, he allowed people to think about them without the limitation. He wanted his viewers to read the paintings in their own light and admire them individually. His paintings were deeply influenced by his experience in the theatre and as a playwright. Rabindranath Tagore inspires me because he believed that you can achieve true freedom if you don't possess other people's ideas and if you form your own standards of judgment and produce your own thoughts. So I chose him because I'm interested in art and like how free he is and how he allows people to interpret his art without any literary restraint. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hanisha. Rabindranath Tagore is an amazing poet. My mom loves his songs and his poems. Last but not least, our last global personality is Sarojini Naidu, which will be presented by Medha.
Thank you, Aurel. So just to begin, a little bit of background about Sarojini. So she was born into a Bengali family in Hyderabad on February 13th, 1879, and she was known for her work in political activism and poetry. And her poetry was actually what bestowed upon her the name Bharat Kokila, or the Nightingale of India. And they were noted for their themes of patriotism, love, death, and for contributing to the independence movement in India. So she had initially worked as a suffragist in England, and later she was drawn to the Indian National Congress's movement for India's independence from the British. So she joined the nationalist movement in 1905, and that was the time that many freedom fighters such as Nehru, Rabindranath Tagore, as Tanisha just mentioned, and Annie Besant were active, and she was one of those gems standing tall by them. She also formed the Women's Indian Association in 1917, and along with Annie Besant, fought for the right to vote for women. And later, she was appointed the president of the Indian National Congress in 1925, and then became the governor of the United Provinces in 1947. So something really remarkable about her was that she was the first woman to hold the office of governor in India. And as a child, she was proficient in 5 different languages, actually: Bengali, Urdu, Telugu, English, and Persian. And an interesting story about her is when she was only 12, she stood first place in the matriculation exams at Madras University. And everyone around her, obviously noticing her talent and how academically bright she was, wanted her to go into math or science and in a way use the talent that she had. But there was always a small crackling spark of poetry in her. So one day when she was working on an algebra problem, she wasn't able to get the solution and she wanted to take a break. And that was when she wrote her first poem, actually in her math book. And that one moment was enough to kind of turn that spark inside of her into a full raging fire. And one of her first complete literary works was what was called The Lady of the Lake. It was a 1,300 line long poem. And what was the most beautiful about her poems, aside from the complex and relevant themes they explored, was that she deliberately avoided flowery language in an attempt to reach to as many as she could. So she stuck to simple words and everyday Indian words. And with those words, she described nature in all its glory, from forests to mountains and the diverse communities in India, weavers, snake charmers. And in doing so, she explored those themes that she was so famous for, such as joy, grief, life, death, and of course, patriotism. So I wanted to share a beautiful poem of hers. This is one of her most famous ones, describing Hyderabad, the city she was from, and it's called In the Bazaars of Hyderabad. And even today, it's included in many textbooks and school curricula because of its themes such as folklore and the Swadesi movement. In these couple lines, she showcases just how beautiful India is, and a deeper message within is that there's no requirement of foreign products for India to flourish. It's more than self-sufficient. And we can kind of tie that into, if we look at it through the context of when she lived during the Indian independence movement. Also through the poem, she encouraged men to take part in the independence movement and boycott foreign goods. So this one and all her poems were published for the first time in the book Golden Threshold, which is still a hugely popular and appreciated book in India today. So the reason I wanted to speak to you all about Sarojini Naidu is because she embodies many of the ideals that I and so many other girls aspire to have themselves: ambition, patriotism, a magical way with words, and above all, a sense of servitude to a cause greater than yourself. So I know we can all take something from her life and hopefully employ that in our lives and daily pursuits to see change for the better.
Thank you, Medha. That Sarojini is an amazing poet, just like Rabindranath, and she was an amazing woman too. Moving on to our interactions and Q&A session, one of the questions that we were given was what are some of the steps to imbibe some of the qualities from our respective global personalities?
I can begin with an answer. So I think one thing that, as I just spoke about, one thing that made her Saroshini Naidu so special and different would definitely be her ambition and dedication towards something that was larger than just herself. So for me personally, to inculcate that in my life, I think it's always better and lasts longer if we start with smaller steps. So first, reflecting on what bigger cause I'm passionate about and identifying the things I can do to tackle that issue and change, starting with just in my home, and then expanding to the community and globally.
Yeah, I would like to go next. So Chadwick Boseman is unique because of his dedication to all his films and how he helps the people. And I would really like to implement that in my life, because if I stay dedicated to what I would like to achieve, then I would really reach the heights that I'm expecting.
Okay, I can go next. So, Kamala Basin is obviously a feminist, and I feel like in today's society, we still deal with a lot of inequality between males and females, and we're still working towards, for example, equal pay. So, really implicating all her values and what she stood up for, and how she really showed the world and made a change in India, and we kind of implicated that with our society today, I think could make a big difference.
Since no one seems to be going, I guess I'll go next. Swami Vivekananda believed in like Vedanta yoga, meditating. Most of all, he believed in helping people that are worse off or just need help. So one thing that we could do is go, and if someone needs help, like help them and strive to be a better person for ourselves. And yeah. Before we move on to the next question, we do have two guest speakers, Shashank and Shuri. So Shashank, do you want to go?
Yeah, thank you. So my person is Fannie Lou Hammer. She was born on October 6, 1917 and died on March 14, 1977. She born in Montgomery County, Mississippi. She was a civil rights activist who worked for better conditions of African Americans and the voting rights for African Americans. So she started cotton picking at the age of 6 and quit school at the age of 12 to work full-time in the field. So a life-changing thing happened when she attended a civil rights meeting. She got to know that the African Americans can vote, so she was going to vote, but then she realized that she had only African Americans must do a literacy test before voter registration, which was really unfair. And even if African Americans do pass the test, they are forced with violence and kicked out of the place. So she quit plantation and moved to civil rights movement. I picked this person because even through injuries, she still fought and put up a lot of speeches. She was sometimes threatened and she was arrested to do false charges. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shashank. Our other guest speaker that we have today is Shoria, so if he'd like to go, he can.
Thank you, Aro. So the person I've decided to talk about is Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was a prominent figure throughout his lifetime. He was an escaped slave who became a prominent abolitionist, activist, and author. As a free Black man, he bravely sought to end slavery with his words in the form of biographies and speeches until his death, following Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolent method of protest. Douglass learned the alphabet from one of his owner's wife at an age of 6 when he was a slave. Douglass escaped to the north in great difficulty and fear as he could be killed for escaping if caught. After escaping, he started attending abolitionist conventions, becoming a speaker and leader with other abolitionist support. And along with other abolitionists, he was brutally attacked many times on the way to conventions by people opposing the abolitionist movement. One time, he broke his hand, and later in his life, he could never use that hand again. After the Civil War, he served in office for the federal government and helped the Black population from suffering by advocating for them in the post-Civil War era. Douglass became the inspiration for the civil rights movement of the 1960s too. His work and life are now remembered for the struggles he faced and are the inspiration for those who seek equality and a more righteous society, especially in a time of turmoil. To bring change in the world, you should always act out and advocate and support people who need help. This is what Douglass did, and that is why he is an inspiration and role model for many. Thank you.
Shoria, that was so amazing. I've gotten the question. It is, how can we incorporate some of the change that our respective global personalities have brought to society in the past to society in the present time?
I am just saying, but I can't really answer that one because my specific global personality is from actually generation. So.
Well, he has introduced a lot of change. You did, who did you do?
Chadwick Boseman. Yes.
Well, he's introduced a lot of change into this generation also. So
okay.
what we could do is
Okay, so I can start by trying to attempt an answer. So I think the question was, how can we incorporate some of the change that our global personality brought to society in their time into present, right? Okay, so I think one thing that she definitely brought to society, Sarojini Naidu brought to society was, even if it wasn't extremely direct in terms of protesting and all of that, just the way she wrote with her words, I think we know how powerful words can be, and they can set off so many emotions, really positive ones like happy, like being happy, love, and inspiration, to really negative ones like anger and grief. So I think she really used her words as kind of a weapon in a way to inspire people to inspire people for everyone else to do change. So instead of just working towards something herself, the way she wrote kind of inspired everyone else to join her as well. So I think, yeah, one thing I definitely implement is trying to do something that I can do within my capabilities to not only work by myself, but inspire everyone else around me to work for the same cause.
I'll go next for this question. So all of our global personalities have inspired great change in what they decided to do. or been like a great person. So we, even as kids, could try to address issues in our world today and speak out about them like our global personalities did too. So we could potentially change the world too if we
Does anyone else want to take a shot at this question?
Yes, I can go. So my figure was Marie Curie, and in her time, she actually inspired like a lot of women to get involved. But I think we like evolved from there, like right now. But another focus is on not caring what other people think, because that can hold you back. So nowadays, social media kind of influences a lot of people, and many of these like share your opinion. Some of them may be like great, but a great deal of them are toxic, and this will hold you back for sure. So maybe we should start to grow in our own way without these other opinions, because they will like affect you.
I actually 100% agree with that. And actually, that's one thing that's common between all of the global personalities that we chose. That the only reason they could actually accomplish what they did was because they didn't get held back by society's opinions in a way.
Yes, as I said, being dedicated to what they want to achieve.
I mean, Tagore was, he was like a key figure in the modernization of Bengali literature. So I guess we can just express ourselves like in art or poetry writing nowadays.
Do we have any other questions?
We actually have one more. So it's, what is the one thing that we see? I know we've talked about this a bit already, but what is the one thing that we see common between all the global personalities we picked this week and last week? Because I feel like if we can identify a couple of traits that are common, it'll be a lot easier to kind of see what are the things that actually make someone so successful and legendary. So does anyone want to start first?
Never holding back and always looking forward in a positive way and trying to bring out the and like to inspire others in their own fields and other fields also.
I would say like never give up, because like some of them never like quit their dreams and they kept on following their dreams.
I would say that many of the people that we talked about have actually fought back discrimination from other people, or based on their characteristics.
I would say they all had a passion for what they did, and they also expressed themselves in different ways. Like, for example, Sarojini, May this person, she used poetry, so did mine used poetry. Chadwick Boseman, he did films, and I feel like they all had a different way of expressing like different issues or their passion, and I think that's very important.
I think they had the courage to fight through many obstacles. Yes, expressing what they want to convey and inspiring the ones like films, Shabadsman films, and all the the poets that the poems that Sarojini Naidu and many others wrote inspired everybody to follow their way of life.
I totally agree with everything everyone said, but I especially like, Mukta, what you said, going back to the whole point about each of them having their own form of expression. I think because they each had their own form of expression, like you said, Sarojini Naidu, her poetry, Rabindranath Tagore, either his poetry or his art, Chadwick Boseman through his films. I think that expression was actually kind of what inspired everyone else around them to see their point of view and follow in their footsteps, or at least kind of understand where they were coming from. So I think that was really important too.
There is another question. It is, what is your most favorite quality or accomplishment of a global personality from this webinar if you had to choose one?
I would pick Sarojini Naidu for all the activism and like how she inspired every other person. Yeah, I really support Sarojini Naidu.
I think I'd do Chadwick Boseman because he was very brave. Like, he had colon cancer, and he just went through his films even though they were quite tough and physical. So he just didn't let it stop him.
I think I would pick Mary Curie because she made many scientific achievements in her lifetime, but she also proved the people who thought female can't make it far in education wrong, which put back a stereotype.
I would say Kamala Bashin. Is that how you say it? Or...
Yeah, it's Kamala Basin.
Okay, I would choose Kamala Bassin because she never gave up in her dream, and she was also brave.
Adding on to that about Kamala Basin, she was good at math, like very good at math, and people were telling her to pursue a career in math or science or something, but she ignored that and she chose to be a poet, and she was really, really at it.
I pick Swami Vivekananda because in America he's spreading all the Hinduism facts and everything, which would be kind of tough. Even though he still succeeded and he got a lot of popularity, he went around the world and spread his message through some obstacles.
Also adding on to that, he didn't just go to America, he went all around the world, to China, to Africa, only a little bit though, because they weren't as advanced, back to India, where he was received with a very warm welcome. And not just America, he went to so many other places and spread Hinduism and Vedanta and yoga. And
Actually, one thing that I'm finding really interesting is that everyone said a personality that wasn't the one they chose initially for today's webinar. I think that really kind of shows that we all learned something really new today, and we're definitely inspired in some way.
Exactly. I'll totally agree with Medha on that. I mean, it was almost like, everybody was paying attention first. And then that is so important that we sometimes just move our focus somewhere. But it's interesting. We wanted to know. And after this, it's been, maybe nothing said about those personalities, I would say, what they have done, but their name, at least how to say their name, at least that was learned. And then if anything really inspired us one bit, we can go back and search and get more information. But definitely we had that opening, the names coming out, other than the names that we play in the games and all of that. Other these names, they have done so much, and that's our only goal in this webinar, to get the word out, and then definitely you can do the rest of the research. Yes, thank you so much, our youth panelists. You did a wonderful job as usual. Good attempt, Aurel. It was your first time moderating. I know how much you resisted, but at least, again, starting it off any point of time, whether we do a great job or not, that is not important. Whether we start it, we do it, we try it, is all that is important. So thank you for agreeing at the end, doing it, and I'm sure we will only grow when we go on doing it more. Okay, and any other question from any social media? If you get a chance, Medha, if you got a chance to see it, then that one, and we'll just wait for a couple of more minutes on that. And so one thing that I was thinking, like, what if I can say, what two characteristic for each personality do you think, or what one common personality or two common personalities that is common for all these personalities that we talked? What is from your two words that come to your mind? Like, if I can ask each one can answer, whoever wants to.
Dedication and perseverance.
Excellent. I mean, you mean it when you say it, right? You exactly. That's the dedication.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
I'd say
Courage and not looking back.
Not looking back. Wonderful. Yes.
I'd say strength and passion.
Sorry, didn't get you.
Strength and passion.
Strength and passion. Wonderful.
Being brave.
Sure. And without bravery, there's nothing.
The way they wanted to. You can continue.
Oh, thank you. I'd say courage and strength, especially for Sarojini, Kamla, and Mary Curie.
Okay, good.
I would say the way that they helped others in their field, and others who are like them have like a point of reference as their inspiration, and being a role model for people.
Okay, so setting that example, is that what you mean? Because nobody, when they start working, they don't see, or they have that thing that, okay, now I am the role model, I will become the role model. But what they do becomes an example, say, so you have to do quite a bit of it right to be that example, right? That's what you meant? Set by example. Excellent. Yeah. Anyone else?
I would say drive for change and use of expression. So the way that they really wanted to kind of strive for a different kind of world, and also the way they express themselves to kind of change.
Excellent. Excellent. Nothing, I think, beats that. That wanting that change, that open-mindedness, that feeling that, okay, I want to do something different. Excellent.
Each person persevered in their way, expression, but the most common one is activism. Like in these figures, most of the people are activists.
Right. Let's not only talk, but do it also. Right? Thank you. Okay. Anyone else?
I was just going to actually say something similar to what Mukta said, which is expression, because I think you can have the greatest mind and the most revolutionary ideas, but if you're not able to express it in a way that's both simple to understand for the majority of the public, but also moving in a way and kind of inspirational, I don't think you can get anywhere. So I think that's one thing they all had in common for sure.
Oh
I
my God.
agree, Maida. I mean, you have to convey your message in order to actually inspire anybody.
Yeah, communication is key to spread great ideas around.
I think this webinar has come a full circle. I started it and you guys came up with this. Yes, what we are all striving for. If you have a great idea, great energy, great everything, wanting to change, and you cannot communicate, you cannot let the word even communicate to your parents, as simple as close as that. Communicating to your friends, to the world will come later on. That's all we are striving for. Excellent point. Yes, I see
Can
Madhavi.
I? Yeah,
Yeah, please.
Julian, when you said what was the common for all these great characters,
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to add, and my 2 cents, not they never gave up in spite of any kind of obstacles. All the great people like Madam Curie or anyone, nobody gave up what they were doing. They, yeah, they faced all the challenges and still they made it. They achieved their dream. So maybe that's one message we can all take it.
Are you serious, Madhavi, that it is maybe one of the message? This is the main message, and we all face it, and they have all faced it, and that is
Yeah,
so beautifully written everywhere. That yes,
yeah,
these are the much more hardships than what we face or we think we are facing, but
yes,
each one of them overcame that. Wonderfully said.
yeah,
Thank you for adding that. I
yeah.
mean, the most important point. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason being, all our speakers are students, and there will be challenges, and they're all building their blocks and they're on their stepping stones. There will be challenges, but they should not give up. That's how it is. The more you face the challenges, the best you will be getting the experience and the exposure. So never give up.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I know you are busy, but taking out the time coming and inspiring our kids. Thank you, Madhavi.
Welcome, welcome. My pleasure. Great job, kids. Great job.
Thank you. Uh, I don't know what happened to the kids, but thank you from the kids' side too.
Thank
But so,
you.
yes,
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
okay, kids are still awake. So, yeah. Any other question, thoughts?
I was going to say one more thing. The hard work and the knowledge combined together, each person determined and persevered something in the world.
Yes, how can we forget that? When you want change, you want this, you want that, everything is there, but you don't have the knowledge to do it, then how will it work? Yes, you got to inform yourself first, and then you let the world know about it. Great point. I think you are in full swing to make a change for sure. Shaurya and Shashank, thank you so much for joining in as guest speakers, but absolutely being part as a panelist. This is all that we strive for, that yes, do join, do express yourself, and then we can grow in our lives, in our careers, and we can think differently. Yeah, if I think we are almost towards the end of the session. So once again, I want to thank all of you, and for our audience, for our attendees, and all those who have joined in on Zoom, on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining in. And we have these webinars. We have prep sessions for these webinars. It's not that they just put in this. They come up. They make these slides on their own. They put in effort to come and present. And if you like it, and if you want to join your kids, if they are if you want to encourage them, So please do email us at webinar@LetUsTalkIt.com, and you can get more details about it. And we thank you once again, and we hope that we all together have a wonderful new year. With that, we end this session. Thank you everyone for joining. And if our panelists, you can stay back for a couple of minutes, we can decide on the next week's topic. And all those who are joined in on YouTube or Facebook, if you can join in the Zoom link right here, we can decide on the topic right away for next week. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.